Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Shailaabhijanamburacharanam Sri Krishna Tatatmajam Sri Shailanvaya Devanath Sudhya Prapta Gamantadvayam Padabje Narsimhatataya Guroho Nyastatma Rakshabharam Vidvat Vrinda Chakora Chandiramaham Sri Ramanujaryam Shraye Sri Ranga Sudha Madhu Samaswadayantam Sri Ranga Mahishi Padapankajatmajam Sulabhashrayam Sadamoda Siddhamadbhutam Bhajeham Gurum Tam Ranganatha Priyam Sukhasanastham Hridayabjapite Chinmudraya Lankrita Pani Padmam Shubhopavitam Vimalodhvapundram Namami Rangam Gurum Antarange Namami Yoga Samragnim Vijayam Vijayapradam Srirangardha Sanasinam Karunam Mamateram Guru Rupa Paranjyotihi Jyoti Rupa Guru Paraha Ajnana Mandiram Hyetate Guru Vijnana Mandiram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatrupa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yo Antah Pravishya Mama Vachamimam Prasuptam Sanjeevayatyakila Shakti Dhara Swadhamna Anyam Shahsta Charana Shravana Tvagadine Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Jnananandamayan Devam Nirmalas Phatika Kutim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Ayagrivam Upasmahe Jnananandamayin Devim Nirmalas Phatika Kritim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Param Vacham Upasmahe Jaityashrita Santrasa Dhvanta Vidvamsanodaya Prabhavan Sitaya Devya Paramavyoma Bhaskaraha Sagradeva Prapannaya Narayana Tavasmiti Chayachate Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyaha Dadamyetat Mama. Salutations to our Guru and the Guru of all Gurus. Will commence our session today. So we were looking at how Sage Valmiki took the cues from Narada Maharshi. Shuktva vastu samagram tad dharmatma dharma samhitam yaktam anveshate bhuyo yad vrittam tasya dhimataha. The important thing here is that the instruction on who Lord Ramachandra is and what his Charitam is given by the greatest among all sages, who is Narada Maharshi. Naram dadati iti Naradaha, one who can confer knowledge onto others, he is known as Narada. And who else can be in that state than who can do a very free sancharam in the three worlds called as Bhuhu, Bhuvaha and Suvaha. He has the immaculate ability to be in the physical world, at the same time be in constant touch with the Supreme Force, Sriman Narayana. So he not only chants Narayana in his mouth, he thinks of him constantly, but most importantly, that word called Narayana emerges from a deep experience from within, and therefore whatever he speaks automatically comes with the power to confer real knowledge. When such is the case, of a guru or acharya, what to talk of knowledge being imparted. At the same time, the patram that is receiving this knowledge is sage Valmiki, who has resolved to do tapasya and attain what is known as the supreme truth. And therefore, this is a perfect example of a sattvic dhanam of knowledge as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Here the patram also is Shuddha Sattvam. The giver also is Shuddha Sattvam. Therefore, the right side product is going to be the purest form of Sattvam. So what Valmiki does is he gets into a state of deep meditation. Tata pashyati dharmatma tat sarvam yogamastitaha pura yattatra nirvrittam pana vamalakam yatha. So he sees the supreme truth just like we see amalakam or the nellikai in our palms. That is the, first of all, the ability of Valmiki to see the truth. Second, இப்போ நம்ம ரோட்ல போயிட்டே இருக்கோம்னா தூரக்கு ஏதோ ஒரு வண்டி வருது, அது பஸ்ஸா ட்ரெயினா கண்ணுக்கு தெரியாது இல்லையா? அது கிட்ட வந்தாட்டம் ஓ இதான் ட்ரெயினா அப்படின்னு கண்ணுக்கு தெரியும். அப்படி இருக்காது. He is somebody who could see reality with utmost clarity. That is the implication here. There is no room for any kind of doubts, which basically means the narration of Srimad Ramayana that is going to follow is not the result of any imagination or concoction. This is the result of the reality that sage Valmiki sees, and with utmost clarity. Yeah. இப்போ நம்ம காலேஜில் படிக்கிறச்சே we will all be given a textbook and we will also be given a guidebook. Yeah, the guidebook will be, if the textbook is 50 pages, the guidebook will be 1000 pages, you know, because the person who writes the guide, he has to look at so many past papers and then convey whatever is not told in the textbook. At the same time, it is important not to lose track of what is told in the original textbook. It should be as faithful as it is to the textbook. So therefore, it is important to understand that when sage Valmiki composes Srimad Ramayanam, the Bija Rupam is given by Sri Narada Maharshi in only one chapter, the first chapter of Srimad Ramayanam, which is Balakandam. How did the entire tree, 24,000 slokas of Srimad Ramayanam emanate from sage Valmiki? Right? That mystery is resolved by this particular slokam, which is Tat Sarvam Yogamastita. He saw everything that sage Valmiki narrated in very much great detail, so much so that we will see in many slokas. He will say, Lord Hanuman paused for a minute. He took a deep breath. This is one slokam. Okay. That means that is the clarity with which he saw events. And he saw the events in the same sequence as Narada Maharshi told him. Right. And as we told earlier, sage Valmiki did not take, any train or flight to go and see Ramachandra Murthy in flesh and blood. He did this with Yoga Masthita, which basically means this whole text, so-called text called Srimad Ramayanam, is not only a story of Sri Ramachandra and others. It is also the result of tapasya. It is the output of tapasya of a great Maharshi called Valmiki. And therefore, the importance that it has is basically the fact that it goes beyond space and time. Is it relevant for me today? Means the answer is immediately you take a look at all the events. Those events may not make sense to us in the physical realm. The way to consume this information is also embedded in this slokam. Just like Valmiki Maharshi went into a state of yoga and understood the complete story in the truest form of Tattvam, the idea is that we should also try to get into that state. So what happens is many times we keep getting questions. Is this something really true? Would this have happened? And so on. There is a room for a lot of doubt, but those doubts, however hard we may try to Google and figure out what it is, the correct answer for that will only emerge when each of us individually will get into that state of yogam. However, until then, it is important to understand what the Maharshi thought about and how did he actually narrate the sequence. Sa yatha katitam purvam naradena maharshina raghuvamshasya charitam chakara bhagavan rishihi. So, sorry, there is one slokam before this, which is Kamartha guna samyuktam dharmartha guna vistaram samudramivaratnadyam sarvashruti manoharam. This is sloka number 8 in the 3rd chapter of Balakandam. The reason I'm not asking you to refer to it is this is of reference value right now. The main story is Sundara Kandam. Okay, please don't feel that you do not have the text in front of you. This is not a strict college course. I am not going to create any tests or exams for you. So therefore, pardon me, I will take slokas which I feel are relevant or connected to the theme. Okay. So in the Sanatana Dharmam, the tradition is that everything is first heard from Acharya. So Shrutihi, Vedas are also known as Shruti. And the reason for that is that they are learned by first listening to what comes from our gurus. And the fact is that the words, the shabdas that emanate, if they are connected with the underlying tattvam, they will have their own impact. So therefore, it is highly recommended to go through some of the deep texts in our Sanatana Dharmam through a guru or an acharya. So therefore, it is important, just like we all do for all our other activities. The more we pay attention, so the ears have the highest ability to capture deep knowledge. Although the eyes can glean over and causes confusion, the ears have the ability to filter and take things directly into our hearts. So with that spirit, you please bear with me for these slokas. So this particular slokam, tat sarvam tatvato dashtva dharmena sa mahadvitihi abhiramasya ramasya charitam kartumudyataha. So the sage Valmiki saw everything in the form of tattvam, right? The word tattvam is used here, which basically tells us that Srimad Ramayanam is not only the story of Sri Ramachandra Murthy as a Raja, Raghuvamsha Raja, but also connotates that he is the supreme tattvam that descended onto the earth. And many other tattvas descended with him when he came here. And that is one aspect. The other aspect is whatever Narada described, Valmiki saw in its true form, meaning there is no dilution. So he saw whatever Narada said as it is. That is the other meaning of tattvataha. Therefore, this is the most original translation of Narada Maharshi's statements. See, basically, when we talk of any text, right, we talk of commentaries to that text, because the true intent of the author will start getting diluted over a period of time. Yeah, if the author has a set of sishyas, then it tries to reside in those sishyas. But unfortunately, what happens due to the effect of parampara, so-called parampara, the guru would have told it as per what he had seen or experienced or his imagination, right? Sometimes works are also of imaginary nature. His true intent may not get transmitted beyond a certain set of generations. And when will this happen? This will happen when the commentaries do not stick to what the original text was intended to convey. Yeah. If you take a look at the guidebook, sometimes we see in a guide for geography, we'll talk about history. It would have forgotten what it is supposed to communicate. So if that is the case, then the parampara, what happens? Somebody later on will think Germany is actually equal to geography. The subject German is equal to the first subject geography. That is the way in which things can get diluted. The precondition for non-dilution or to get it concentrated in its true form is only when the original author talks about things which are not imaginary in nature, but which are in fact embedded in tattvas. That is when a real parampara gets established. If that is not the case, then there will be dilution. Therefore, abhiramasya ramasya charitam kartum udyataha. So, sage Valmiki decides to start writing about Lord Ramachandra's story only after seeing him in Tattvam, in the Shuddha Sattva Swarupam. And he saw it exactly in the same manner as Sri Narada Maharshi illustrated to him. Therefore, this work called Srimad Ramayanam is the output of no imagination but deep research. And the research went across all the three layers, Adi Bhautikam, Adi Daivikam, and Adhyatmikam. Karma Artha Guna Samyuktam, Dharma Artha Guna Vistaram. So this particular Srimad Ramayanam. So now we have spoken about sage Valmiki and how he wrote this Srimad Ramayanam. Now we have to describe what is Srimad Ramayanam, what is its greatness, or what is actually contained in it. Okay. So there are two important first adjectives about Srimad Ramayanam. One is Karma Artha Guna Samyuktam. So it has embedded in it the attributes or qualities that help us attain worldly peace and prosperity, worldly pleasures. Karmartham, whenever we do any karma, right? Prayojana manuddishya namandopi pravartate. That is a saying in Sanskrit. Without a prayojanam in mind, without a goal in mind, even a manda buddhi will not get into any activity. Yeah. So coffee வேணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நம்மளுக்கு விருப்பம் இருக்கு. ஆனா our body will not yield to us. We don't want to get up and go. But what will happen? After some time, the body itself will drag you towards coffee, isn't it? The goal there is so powerful that even a manda, either in buddhi or in body, that person will start getting and start doing karma. So therefore, any karma we do will have its impact, its outcomes. So those are known as karmarthas. So karmartha guna samyuktam. Srimad Ramayanam will bestow upon us whatever the outcomes we desire in the field of artha and kama. But it doesn't stop there. So those are the physical things which we can relate to. Okay. And of course, why does Srimad Ramayanam result in Karmartha Gunam? The fact is that Srimad Ramayanam has so many treasures hidden in it that if we were to adopt the various strategies there, they will help us do our own karma in a better manner. It talks about so much of psychology, psychology with respect to the individual, or sociology with respect to how we behave in a team or a societal setting. How do you prioritize things? How do you acquire skills? How do you relate yourself to so many other things in life? It has so many such treasures embedded in it that you don't need any other compendium for leading a life. And therefore, if you were to really go through Srimad Ramayanam, you will indeed acquire karmartha gunas, what is required to lead this worldly life. Iha sukhathukku, whatever is required to lead a life here. அதே மாதிரி பரசுகம் இஹ பரம்னு சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா, தர்மார்த்த குண விஸ்தரம். So this is the greatest thing of all Maharshis and their works. What they do, they give a sugar-coated pill for all of us. So they attract us with sugar, which is Artha and Kama. But embedded in it is actually an even more Madhuramana Vastu. Okay, the pill here, Kadwa nahi hota hai. The pill also is of the form of Madhuram Madhure Bhyopi Pavane Bhyopi Pavanam. The, sweetest form of things that you can think of is embedded in the outer sugar coating, and that is dharmartha guna vistaram, that which helps us attain what dharma is supposed to confer on us. Okay, and what will dharma confer on us? If we were to adopt dharma in its true spirit, we will not only get moksham, but we will also get artha and kama. So both are embedded in it, which basically means in one slokam, the outcome of Srimad Ramayanam is described, which is it confers on us all the four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksham. Okay, so therefore, in the strictest form of things, we don't need to go to any university to acquire, knowledge of leading life. Going through Srimad Ramayanam is enough. That is the import in this slokam. Samudramiva ratnadhyam sarvashruti manoharam. This, I just illustrated the meaning of this just now. Just like the ocean embeds in it many, many jewels or ratnas, right? Likewise, Srimad Ramayana has very many jewels embedded in it, and these jewels pertain to, as we mentioned, not only how to lead this life. If you were to look at the way that Anjaneya brings Sanjeevani, right? It has all the jadi booties, all the Ayurvedic herbs. So you will get to know what is required to treat our physical condition. You will get medicines for our mental conditions in the form of, for example, Aditya Hridayam, that Sri Ramachandra composes, and he sings in praise of Lord Surya before going into the war, right? As well as Adhyatmikam. So it has all the jewels embedded in it. Samudramiva ratnadhyam. And sarvashruti manoharam. So this is something which regales everybody's hearts, whoever listens to it. Abdin artham irukku. Sarvashruti manoharam. Anybody who listens to Srimad Ramayanam, which basically means Srimad Ramayanam should not only be read by us and understood what its meaning is, we should also do a chanting of it. We should do a Parayanam. And the Parayanam also has an impact, is what is conveyed here. It's not just the slokas and their meanings, but because it is composed by Valmiki, because it is composed in Anushtup Chandas, and if it is chanted in the proper spirit, in fact, later on, Lava and Kusha, they sing Srimad Ramayanam right in front of Sri Ramachandra himself. And the comment that Sri Ramachandra Murthy says is that Mamapi tad bhutikaram pratyakshate. What you have sung, O children, this actually is conferring even in me goodness. And it seems to be so mangalakaram to listen, is what Sri Ramachandra himself has endorsed. So therefore, this is the beauty of Adi Kavyam, Srimad Ramayanam, that it is, the reason is that it's a sugar-coated sugar pill. It has everything embedded in it, and we better chant it or do a Parayanam of it. Sarvashruti Manoharam. Manoharam means, the bhakshanam we eat. during Sri Jayanti, isn't it? Manoharam means that which takes away our mind. Manam haratiti manoharaha. That which makes us so dear to the object of description, which is Lord Ramachandra here. Sayatha katitam purvam Naradena Maharshina Raghuvamshasya Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi. So Sri Valmiki goes on to compose Srimad Ramayanam from then onwards. Raghuvamshasya Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi. So he goes on Janma Ramasya Sumahadviryam Sarvanukulatam Lokasya Pretam Kshantim Saumyatam Satyashilatam. So he talks about Lord Ramachandra's Charitam. Anyway, so this is the this is how sage Valmiki starts to compose Srimad Ramayanasya Charitam. So we have seen the significance of Lord Ramachandra as mentioned by sage sage Narada to Valmiki. We spoke about Srimad Ramayana, right? Now, many of the ladies on this call may be wondering, isn't it? We have not heard of Sita Mata yet. So the main characters, I'm looking at, I'm not going to describe all the characters. It is important to know the significance of each of the main characters, okay? That's the reason why we are going through this. So that when we enter a temple, we enter with the true spirit of seeing the Lord himself. So if we prepare ourselves before entering the temple, right? The moment you enter WhatsApp and the video, so you will just ignore it. So you will be so focused towards what we want to study later on that it will help us in the process of getting over many doubts which we may get. So in that context, the second most important character is Sita Mata. So we may wonder that why did Narada Maharshi not mention about Sita Mata, right? In the Balakandam, he does mention, he extols Lord Ramachandra's attributes first, gunas. Later on in the Balakandam, there is a reference to, he quickly says he gets married to Sita and so on. So I was trying to see which is that slokam where Sita Mata is, her origins are mentioned and who is talking about her. Okay, so I did a bit of searching Srimad Ramayanam for that reference. So what I found is in Balakandam, chapter 66, shloka 13 and 14, is where we find the first reference to Sita Mata's origins. You mean that up to that point of time, it is largely about Dasharatha and how he led life and the yagas he did to beget the children and so on and so forth. And Vishwamitra comes and takes away Lord Ramachandra, and all that happens. So in Sarga 66 of Balakandam, King Janaka, of course, he was also a Maharshi. Okay. Athame Krishata Kshetram Langulad Utthita Kshetram Shodhayata Labdha Namna Site Vishruta. He describes Lord Janaka. This is the scene where Vishwamitra takes Ramachandra and Lakshmana into the palace of Janaka Maharshi, right? So, and he builds up the momentum that, there is something important for both of you guys. You are the most eligible bachelors, and I wish to do Mangalam or Kalyanam for you. So let's go and approach Janaka Maharshi, Janaka Raja. And he asks, Vishwamitra asks Janaka, you seem to have a beautiful daughter, and we have come here to seek your approval for getting her married. That is when Janaka starts narrating, first of all, who he is. Avarode Charitamla Solluvar. Okay. And then finally it gets into this point where sloka 13, Athame krishataha kshetram langulad uttitha maya. When I was tilling the land, I used the spade or whatever I had at that point of time, and I dug out a beautiful child out of Mother Earth. This is what he says. Kshetram shodhayata labdha namna siteti vishruta. So when I was doing the kshetra shodhanam, I was basically cleaning up or tilling the land. That is when I got my daughter by name Sita. So this is the first reference to Sita Mata. So basically what this means is that Kshetra Vyavasayam is not only the duty of, it need not be left to only a certain set of people. Anybody who has the ability, knowledge, and you have the interest to do Kshetra Vyavasayam, you go ahead and do it. And here Janaka himself was tilling his land. That is a reference that we get here. And he got Sita Mata under the Bhumi. Bhumija Nayakam. Bhumija. She is the, actually we can say the Apara Avataram of Bhuma Devi. And she is obtained from Bhumi itself. That is a reference here. And she is the Mata of Prakriti. And the very first tattvam in Prakriti is Prithivya Tejo Vayuvakasha Kaladikatma Manam Sinavaiva, says Tarkasangraham. Prithvi is the very first tattvam. The most sthula form of Prakriti is Prithvi. And that encompasses everything, the entire periodic table, isn't it? And that has all the wealth, all the minerals that we need for leading our lives. So therefore, the connotation here is that she is endowed with everything that is there in Mother Earth, which basically means she is none other than Mahalakshmi. She has the ability to feed all of us with whatever we want. So that is the Sukshma Drishti with which we should see this slokam. There is a Sthula, Sukshma, and Paradrishti, as we mentioned earlier. So it cuts across many shlokas. Some have the Sthula Drishti, some have Sukshma, and some have Para. So this is the first reference to Sita Mata. Okay. Bhutaladuttita satu vyavardhata mamatmaja virya shulketi me kanya sthapiteyam ayonija. So the moment Janaka found Sita Mata in the Bhumi Kshetram, Bhutalat Uttitha Satu Vyavardhata, she started growing into a lovely maiden, Mama Atmaja. She is my daughter, right? Mama Atmaja. Enkitend Parandane solraringa, right? Bhumila Paranda, Enkita Paranda Madri Epdi Agum, Abdinaka. Janaka, as we mentioned, is also a great Dharmatma. He is a Maharshi. And he had the ability to acquire whatever he wanted. And in this case, he ensured that the lady, the girl child who he got, was also the replica of the true spirit that he saw inside himself. So in that context, he is calling her as Atmaja. Virya Shulketi me kanya sthapiteyam ayonija. So the moment she grew into a beautiful maiden, Janaka decided that she will be a Virya Shulka, which basically means Shulkam abdinaka, gift abdinartham. And anybody who has daughters here, if they are eligible age for marriage, right? So you'll be thinking of Kanyadana. And basically, along with the Kanya, you are supposed to gift many things to the Vara. And here, what Janaka is saying is that she will be given to a person who is actually a Viryavan. So not somebody who who does not have courage or the immense ability to do things. And in this context, it is somebody who can take the Shiva Dhanus and ensure that he shows his valor. So that is what Janaka decided. Virya Shulketi me kanya sthapiteyam ayonija. He talks about Sita Mata as ayonija. So this is the reference to the fact that Sita Mata, so just like Ramachandra Murthy, is the supreme tattvam which descended onto earth. The reference to Sita Mata as none other than the Supreme Lord's divine wife, Ayonija. She is not born to anybody, which means she is the Jagan Mata, right? So this is the Para Drishti, Sthula, Sukshma and Para. So if at all anybody has doubt that Sita Mata is not described or who is she, this particular shloka you can refer. She is an Ayonija. Likewise, the Atma Gunas of Sita Mata are described by sage Vishwamitra himself. He goes on to say in the chapter 72 of Balakanda, sloka number 3 and 4, Sadrisho Dharma Sambandha, Sadrisho Rupa Sampada, Rama Lakshmayo Rajan, Sita Chor Malayasaha. He describes, of course, Janaka has 4 daughters and he gives all the 4 daughters to the respective, 4 brothers here. And although Rama and Lakshmana went in there, 2 plus 2, buy 2, get 2 free. So, Janaka is immensely relieved. I have all the eligible bachelors in one family. Yeah, you don't have to worry about arranging cooks and all that. One cook is enough here. So, yeah, the fact that Valmiki did not describe too many Atma Gunas of Sita Pirati, to the women folk here on this call, we only want to say Vishwamitra uses an algebraic logic. X is equal to Y. What does that mean? Whatever X has as attributes will all carry over to Y. This particular slokam illustrates the equality of Sita Mata to Sri Ramachandra. Sadrisho Dharma Sambandha, Sadrisho Rupa Sampada. Of course, he says X equal to Y, A is equal to B. I'll tell you who X and Y are and A and B are. He's talking about Rama and Lakshmana here. So X is Rama, A is Lakshmana, Y is Sita and B is Urmila. Purinjado? So Sadrishama, they are equal. Who are equal? Rama and Sita have Sadrishaha Dharma Sambandha. In the Urvartele potu mudichitar. They both have equal attributes in terms of Dharma. Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha. Rama is equal to Sita. So Sita is also a Vigrahavati Dharma. She is somebody who is the embodiment of all divine attributes. That is the meaning here. Okay. ஒரே ஒரு வார்த்தையிலேயே சொல்லிட்டார். மறுபடியும் ரிப்பீட் பண்ண வேண்டாம். எல்லா குவாலிட்டிஸும் அடங்கிடுவாங்க. சதுர்ஷோ ரூப சம்பதா. She is also as good looking as, அதே மாதிரி ரூபம் இருக்கு ராமர் மாதிரினா, அப்ப ராமருக்கு மீசை இருந்தா சீதா பிராட்டிக்கு மீசை இருக்கு அப்படின்னு அர்த்தமா? இல்ல. ரூப சம்பத்து ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கு அப்படின்னாக்கா, she is also equally beautiful, equally divine. ஆஜானுபாவா ராமர் இருக்கார் அப்படின்னாக்கா, அதே மாதிரி சீதா பிராட்டியும் இருப்பா. She will also have the same gait and same features. எல்லா குணங்களும், அதாவது நம்மலாம் ஏனோ தானோன்னு பிறக்கிறோம். We are all born somehow in whatever manner we are. மூக்கு கோணலா இருக்கும், காது ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்கும், கை ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஆனால் ஒரு பகவானுடைய அவதாரம், ஒரு பகவதியுடைய அவதாரம் அப்படின்னு ஆச்சுன்னாக்கா, the ரூபம் that they will have all the divine qualities to not only make our eyes feast on them, but our inner eyes will get opened if we were to look at the divine Lord and the divine Devata Sita Mata. So that is the nature of their birth. Yeah. Sadrisho Dharma Sambandha, Sadrisho Rupa Sampada. And then he goes on to say who X is, who Y is. Rama Lakshmayo Rajan Sita cha Urmalaya Saha. So this is one shloka where says Vishwamitra says, இது என்னக்கா இது யாரோ சொல்லிவிட்டான்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. இப்போ ஒரு சுமந்திரன் சொல்றான் அப்படின்னாக்கா of course it has its own merit. But just like Valmiki or Narada described Ramachandra, the qualities of Sita, their barrister or attorney is Vishwamitra. And he is also a great Brahmarishi. அவ்வளவு தபஸ் பண்ணி வந்த ஒரு பெரிய மகர்ஷியே he is certifying or qualifying Sita Mata. So therefore, this is again an authentic tattvataha drishti of who Sita Mata is. So whenever we go through Sundara Kandam and ஐயோ சீதா பிராட்டி போய் இப்படி அழகாளே அப்படின்னு ஒரு டவுட் வந்தனா அங்க 3 அம்சம் இருக்குன்னு நம்ம பார்த்துக்கணும். ஆதி பௌத்திகம், ஆதி தெய்வீகம், ஆத்தியாத்மிகம். We'll take a look at those things in great detail later on. Asya dharmatmano rajan rupena apratimam muni sutadvayam varashreshta patnirtham varayamahe. Asya dharmatmano rajan rupena apratimam அப்படின்னு சொல்றார் புவி. இப்பேற்பட்ட ஒரு ரூபம் சீதா மாதாக்கு ஊர்மிளாக்கும். அப்ரதிமம், there is no equal person on earth to share the beauty of these two ladies அப்படின்னு விஸ்வாமித்ரர் சொல்றார். ஓகே, உங்களுக்கு ஒரு லேசா ஒரு டவுட் வரும், இவர் பார்க்காத ஆள மேனகை எல்லாம் பார்த்திருக்காரு இல்லையா, அதெல்லாம் ராஜ ரிஷியா இருந்த காலத்துல. When he becomes a Brahma Rishi, his perception will completely change. He will see the true tattvam wherever he goes. And the entire உலகத்திலேயே பூவிலேயே இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ரூபம் கிடையாது அப்படின்னாக்கா அவர் எவ்வளவு சுத்தி இருக்கணும் உலகத்தை அப்படின்னு நம்ம நினைச்சுப்போம். அதெல்லாம் தேவையே இல்லை அவளுக்கு. Such great rishis, if they sit in one place and get into meditation, they don't need to travel the entire diameter of earth to figure out if there is somebody who is as beautiful as these two ladies. Asya dharmatmano rajan sutadvayam varashreshta patnyartham varayamahi. Sage Vishwamitra is the marriage taragar, marriage broker between the Raghuvamsham and Janaka's Vamsham. He is the one who asks Sita Mata and Urmila, of course, buy two get two free. அவரே ஆஃபர் பண்ணிடுவார் அதுக்கப்புறமா. So the first thing that he asks is for Urmila and Sita Mata. Okay, so this is the reference we get for the divine Atma Gunas of Sita Mata. Okay, of course there will be other places where we will also see some more details, but this is something I wanted to highlight. And the third important person that we need to know about, who is technically the hero for Sundara Kandam, is Lord Hanuman. இல்லையா, அவரை பத்தி எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும். வானர புங்கவஹ, he is the great among all the monkeys அப்படின்னு. வானரஹ அப்படின்னாக்கா சம்ஸ்கிருதத்துல வா அப்படின்னாக்கா இட் இஸ் எய்தர் திஸ் ஆர் தட் அப்படின்னு இல்லையா, அந்த ஆருக்கு பேரு வா இன் சான்ஸ்கிரிட். நரஹா, ஸோ அவரை பார்த்தா நரன்னு சொல்லாமோ அப்படின்னு தோணும், ஆனா இது நரன் இல்லை அப்படின்னா he belongs to that species of animals which is the closest to human species. That is a physical description. But who is Lord Hanuman அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்லணும்னா, we don't need to scamper here and there to figure out who he is. Valmiki himself has described, Narada also has described, Manojavam Maruta Tulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanara Yutha Mukyam Sriramadutam Shirasa Namami. Manojavam, மனசு எவ்வளவு வேகத்துல போகுமோ அந்த வேகத்துல போகக்கூடிய தன்மை உடையவர். அதாவது he had the ability to physically jump across at the speed of our mind. So that is the physical ability. This describes about Hanuman's abilities, how powerful he was. Manojavam Maruta Tulya Vegam. the speed with which he would go is the speed of wind. Jitendriyam buddhimatam varishtham. He had conquered all the indriyas, and buddhimatam varishtham, among those who claimed that they are intellect, he is the varishtha. He is the supreme among all those who had intelligent. Romba buddhiman, adula varishtana irukakuriya oru dharmatma is Lord Hanuman. Vatatmajam vanara yutha mukyam. He is the son of Vata, that is Lord Vayu, Vata Atmajaha. Vanara yutha mukyam. He is the head of the command, he is the supreme commander of all the armed forces of Vanaras. Sri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami. And the most important attribute for Lord Hanuman is he is the Duta of Sri Ramachandra. But this is a very summary description of who Hanuman is. I would like to take a look at Lord Hanuman in some detail. The first description of Hanuman again emerges in the Kishkinda Kandam. So we'll take a look at how Hanuman is described by Lord Ramachandra. And in that context, we will also see how Hanuman describes Rama and Lakshmana. Okay. The more we relish Sri Ramayanam, we'll start to see different people's different perceptions. There is only adoration of each of the great characters here. The way they see each other and the way they praise others' qualities is something that we have to relish. So it needs more time. We have reached the end of today's session. We'll take a look at Lord Hanuman in the next class in more detail. And hopefully after that, we'll start with Kishkinda Kandam, last chapter. Okay. So with that, we conclude our session today. Guru Charanambuja
Nirbhara Bhakta Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhakta Samsara Chiradhavamukta Guru Charanambuja Krishna Krishna Sedriya Manasa Niyamadevam Rakshasi Nijardayastam Devam Bhaja Govindam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate
Kayena vacha manasa indriyerva buddhya atmana va prakrite swabhavate karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai Srimannarayana yeti samarpayami sarvam Sri Ramachandra arpanamastu. Have a great day and a great week ahead. Thank you. Recording stop.
Namaskaram, Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
Dhanyasmi.